there's a chance we are live right now.
No score.
I'm gonna test to make sure before we get her going here.
Always gotta like when you have the chance of being live.
Just the chance of being live, yes. Okay.
Just the chance.
We are live, I believe.
Score. Let's go. I got at the perfect.
Let me actually make sure that you're live. Okay, just the chance. Okay, yep. Your voice is getting picked up. That's what I just needed to know. So,
Score.
let me.
Oh, we're on a roll.
Yeah, so far we're on a roll. We're gonna, before we actually get this thing going, I want to make sure it's all working in. I'm a little afraid that it's not right now.
All right, I'm gonna disappear for 2 seconds.
Okay. Well, you do that. I want to make sure that this is. There we go. There we go. Really praying that that'll work. Yep. Okay. We are good to go. Once Rudy returns, we'll start this thing up. Holy crap. I am so technologically handicapped on this one, but we are good to go.
Score.
Had to fucking mess with everything like 20 times, but all right, we are good to go. Welcome into the Royals rotation. That's Gabe Swan. That's Rudy Matthews, and we're like what 3 days now away, technically 3 days away from opening day for the Kansas City Royals, and we're gonna get into the 26-man roster that they're gonna be putting out there against the Atlanta Braves. We'll get into the preview for that series as well as our predictions for the season in Thursday's episode. But today is going to be more down to just the roster, what we're dealing with now, the roster that we have at our disposal. Rudy, let's start with the pitchers. First of all, how you doing?
I'm doing dandy.
Doing dandy.
Had to deal with some old people today, but yeah. Other than that,
I had to deal with
doing fine.
I had to deal with young people today. Very young people.
I might, I might want to swap you on that.
I don't know, but that sounded like sus as hell, though. The way I said that, I'm dealing with super young people. That's sus as hell. Okay.
Gabe might be on a list
No.
to Little St. James Island. Anyway,
that seems like the perfect pick for me to like become a politician. But yeah, no. Let's see here, like the Royals play against the Braves on the weekend. I think we're gonna try to do a watch along for that for the Sunday game. They have 2 night games, I believe. And as we get closer to that date, it looks like, obviously we won't know officially until, I think they don't have to make it official until the day of the game. But we seem to have a pretty good idea what the roster will look like. Let's get into the starting pitchers. Obviously, we had a lot of options to go through. Just a month ago, it felt like there was like 8 to 9 options. Now, they've leveled it down. It looks like we know who everybody is. Let's get into the first one. The ace, Cole Ragans. So, just like going through, obviously last year was like insanely frustrating, and I don't know, like, I'm trying to see his injury. So he had a left groin injury first, and then he had a rotator cuff injury. And I know you watched I don't know if it was first or his second time. Well, I don't know, it had to have been his first time because he went back down, where he had a rehab game in AAA, and it did not come well.
Yeah, he was just like hanging so many balls. It felt like all of his off-speed stuff was just like hanging in the zone. Could not like it just felt like he couldn't get a swing and miss on any of his fastball. Like it just kind of felt like everything was just not clicking for him. And I think that's kind of where the second injury was kind of starting to come in. So obviously when he came back up, it was hit or miss, and then he got injured again. So
Yeah, and so he went 3-3 in his game. He had a 4.67 ERA. He only played in 13 games, though. He came back in September, I believe, and he played just a few games. He looked all right, if I remember. I mean, he started amazingly. If I remember.
yeah, no, he had a first I feel like it was like his like a month. Like the first month, he was pretty good.
I want to say like he had it was either back to back or 3 straight 10+ strikeout games. Like he was on.
Yeah, he was going. Yeah, I think opening day he had like 10, 11 Ks.
He was playing really.
Last season.
And you go back to his previous season in 2024. Royals obviously make the playoffs. He was once again the ace of that team. He went 11-9 with a 3.14 ERA, but it was 223 strikeouts. He was second. I don't quite. He was either second in the MLB or he was second in the AL. I know he was only behind Terrence Skubal. So like we know that like when Cole Ragans is healthy, he can be an elite pitcher for the Royals, and obviously he's going to be the opening day starter. Do you have any concerns about Cole Ragans at all? Like, I haven't watched him much in like spring training at all, so I don't know what exactly. If he's like, seems like he's kind of got himself worked out after really just a really setback year.
I mean, I think he's been pretty solid in spring training. And also we were talking about it earlier. His kind of hot start at the beginning of the last season.
Yeah.
He had 3 games last year with 10 or more Ks, or 3 back-to-back starts.
Okay.
That was Milwaukee, Minnesota, and Cleveland.
Yeah.
But that was after opening day where he only went 5 innings and allowed 3 runs.
I wrote down here that whenever I believe it was like when he came back from his first injury, he got a few games, but he gave up 8 runs in 2 games. And then he went back on the IL where he stayed until September. But I mean, I was thinking about this, like, what do you, because I think a lot of it we place on the offense. Like, the offense obviously needs to be better next year if we're gonna have a chance. If we're gonna like forget because our offense wasn't good at 2024. Like, it was average on its day, and they still made it to the second round of the playoffs. Can they?
Yeah, and I think the broadcast talked about it a lot. It was like 3 to 4 runs. As long as the Royals always got like 3 to 4 runs, they always had a decent, like, I can't remember what the exact stat was, but it was like very favorable for us. And a lot of the times they could not do it.
But like, when you just look at it from a pitching perspective, like, do you think Cole, like, because like obviously it's hard to replicate 223 strikeouts.
Yeah.
Like, do you think he needs to even like if he can replicate 2024, like that? I mean, I think he's an all-star candidate.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think if he can do that again, he's definitely an all-star candidate.
And like also,
it's just
good.
It's just how I'm more worried about how he's going to start the season with how, I mean, his spring training was like so. He kind of gave up a decent amount of runs. His whip was a little high.
Yeah.
Like, it was, I think it was like a 1.6, yeah. 1.63.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little high. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how he plays against the Braves, especially with that stacked lineup.
Well, the Braves are injured. Like, we'll get Tuesday, but what I've heard is that the Braves are pretty banged up.
Even still, I like the way I think is we're gonna have Reagan's lefty versus righty Acuna. That's one matchup I'm scared about for sure.
Yeah. But also, Acuna's is not a very fun matchup for anybody.
Yeah, that's true.
Anything else you want to touch on with Reagan's? Like, I feel like, it's like he's the ace of the rotation. When he's on, we've seen what he can be. I feel like it's just like more of like, okay, stay healthy.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where his velo sits on his fastball. Um, I'm interested to see if he'll still touch 100 or not.
Yeah. Well, next on the rotation, a guy we were just before we started recording, we're talking about, said he was 37 years old.
36.
36-year-old Seth Lugo. So Lugo, he was at one point during last season, I'd say he was looking like one of our when Reagan's was hurt, he was playing like our best pitcher. Like he was
Yeah,
playing.
he definitely stepped up.
And then so the way this is so weird. The way this broke down was super weird. How the Royals started really slipping out of contention, and the question was, were they going to be buyers or sellers at the deadline? And one of the big signs they sent out that they were going to be buyers and they're going to try to compete was they extended Seth Lugo. They gave him a 2-year extension. It was a $46 million. And from that moment, I made sure to write this down. After he signed that extension, he never had a game with a sub-3 ERA. It's tough.
That's about how it goes. It feels like when you kind of pay your pitchers, it's not like, it like backfires, so to speak, but it's like, oh, we just paid you and now it seems like our money's kind of going to the wayside.
Yeah. And one thing I wanted to ask you, because you maybe know a little bit more about it than I do, is do you think it was just the wear and tear of the season? Because in 2024, this guy led the league in innings pitched. He pitched in over 200 innings. He's 36 now.
Yeah.
And he kind of hit his wall, so I'm trying to make sure I have this right. So he pitched in about 145 innings last year. Was it a sense that maybe the Royals just thought oh, he was playing so well, he played in over 200 innings last year, he can just do it again, and he hit a wall?
Yeah, I think part of it could be that. I think also another part of it would be just the amount of I guess just more pressure put on the pitching staff after Reagan's goes down with injury. Obviously it's you look at the KC rotation, especially last year, the beginning of last year. I mean, we talked about it. Reagan's and Lugo, both of those guys were talking in Cy Young talks at some point.
Yep.
So, I mean, both of those guys could be considered aces. I like Lugo. At the beginning of last year, would a lot of people considered to be an ace for some teams.
Yeah.
Depending on what team. So, I think after Reagan's going down, and it's okay, Lugo, you're basically our new ace. We kind of need you to step up.
Yeah.
And part of that, yes, the wear and tear, but the pressure of, hey, we need you to be the guy, basically. We need you to have these big, quality, innings every time, or these quality outings.
And it was also because Reagan's was obviously, he was hurt for a while before it hit. He stepped up to that role very well, to start with. But there was a point where, and you could kind of tell where it was starting to fall apart for him, because this is why it was talk about maybe they will be sellers, because Reagan's was hurt. And then in the summer, Bubic gets hurt. And we'll
Yeah.
talk about him in a minute. And then there was a stretch where even Cameron dealt with a short-term injury. And during that stretch, I remember they were running out Lugo, Waka, Lorenzen, Rich Hill in a bullpen day. That was like 2 weeks of that. And that was like,
Ironically enough, one of the Rich Hill games was against Atlanta, and I was at one of those games.
oh, you poor soul. Because he only got two.
I think
And it was a very
I was
good
about to say
reason why he only got two.
I'm pretty sure Rich Hill only lasted about an inning and 2/3 that day,
Yeah.
and it was hot as hell, and it was a long one.
Yeah. I think I remember that they had the bullpen day where the bullpen pitched they they didn't give him a run. They shut him out. They beat someone 1-0. I don't remember who it was, but it was a bullpen day during that stretch. And I was like, just roll out another bullpen day. Don't let Rich Hill go out there again. Like Rich Hill, there was a great maybe it was the Atlanta game I was watching here where he had a decent no, because he went over 2 innings. Like maybe he did maybe it was the end of the first inning, but he goes and gets two quick outs in the inning, and then he walks the next two, and then he gets the third out, and you can just see him. He's got his mouth in his glove. He is clearly yelling, "Fuck!" Like he is pissed that he just walked those two. And then I think it was the next inning it kind of fell apart on him. So maybe that was the game. It could have been the Atlanta game, but
Yeah, probably.
yeah, like Lugo, you can't rely on a 36-year-old to go 206 innings. Like that was I would say that was an anomaly. And they brought him over from it was like San Diego. Him and Walker, I
Yeah.
think, both came from San Diego during that free agency cycle. But yeah, like I don't know, he got this extension. I said it's another year on it or 2 more years on it, so he's gonna have the chance. And I think with the depth that they have, I think I'm not that worried about it because they have a guy that we might talk about later sitting in AAA. That's like if one of the not just Lugo, but if one of these guys that we're talking about comes into the league and starts shitting the bed, I think we'd all be comfortable with him coming in and stepping in. But
Yeah.
is there anything else you have on Lugo?
No, not really.
Okay, let's go to the guy I brought up earlier, Kris Bubic. Bubic, let's had a breakout year last year.
Yep, he was talked about also in a Cy Young. Basically all the way up until his injury.
Yeah,
Um,
he made the All Star,
yep.
roster. Pull out his stats here. He had 116 strikeouts, had a 2.55 ERA with an 8-7 record, and I made sure to write this down. He got 2 losses where he had a sub-2 ERA in the game. I'm like, talk about a guy getting costed. Like, that is... Oh, and I made sure to write down, it was back-to-back starts where that happened.
I'm glad you're bringing some of these up because there's a couple of games like these that happened to some guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where last year, it happened 2 years ago too. These guys get costed by the offense. Like
I look, I don't know if this is gonna be like an extreme thing to say, but I mean the offense to this pitching staff was basically Al Qaeda stats. Like, oh my god.
Freaking that is oh my.
I'm looking at some of these games and it's like,
how does an offense with Bobby Witt Jr. and Vinny Pasquantino commit acts of terrorism? That's how you know the rest of the team around. Like, I know that Salvi had a good year, and we'll get into him. But
yeah.
for his at his age, it was an all right year. Holy shit, man! How do you manage to be like It's like, oh, we got one of like the top shortstops in baseball. You know, we had two 30-plus home run players. By the way, our offense still sucks. Like, it just tells you there was nothing else going on there. It was like little spurts from these guys, and then nothing else. Um, but yeah, with Bubic, obviously said he got injured. It was a left rotator cuff strain. Whenever it got
Yeah.
announced, I didn't know that was a season ender, but like I was at work and I was like, okay, you know, and then I got home from work and I think I got on ESPN and it was like, well, his season's over, and I'm like,
Yeah. It was very casual, it felt like. It wasn't like it didn't seem like it was like a big like announcement. It was like, "Oh my god,
it
like
was like,
Chris Bubik's done."
yeah,
It's like, "Oh, hey, yeah, he's gonna have surgery like in a week," but basically he's just shut down until, and I think the date they gave was like November, October or something. It's like, "Yeah, so basically for the rest of the season." It's like, "Oh,
yeah.
cool."
And the way we were talking about it, it was Tommy John or something. So I was like, oh, I guess that's just a season ender now, huh?
Yeah.
But he did win his arbitration hearing, so he got 6.15 million. So you know, down with the MLB, I guess. Suck on that one. Um, yeah, I just like he came back. Like, has he been performing well in spring training?
I haven't seen too much of him in spring training.
Okay, but yeah, like obviously it was super disappointing to like, you know, he gets hurt when he's having this breakout year, and I got, you know, my dad's a Cubs fan. He's like, ooh, look out, the Cubs are gonna trade for Chris Bubich.
It was funny too because it was Bubic and Lugo that were both like thrown in the same combo and both were thrown towards the Cubs.
Yeah, he's like, we're gonna get Seth Lugo and Chris Bubich, and I was like, go fuck yourself. I was like, maybe you can have Lugo because he's 36 and all. You can't have Bubich. Can't have him. But I'm like, I don't know. I'm excited to see if Bubich can capitalize on that because like up till that point, said Cy Young talks, he looked
Yeah,
like he was good.
looking at his spring training stats, I mean it looks like he's picking up right where he left off. It's like
Good.
12 innings pitched, 14 strikeouts, a .75 ERA, and a 1.33 WHIP. So I mean he's doing work.
I just love that I follow a YouTube channel. They just do like little breakdowns of every game that happen in a day. There's like small breakdowns, and whenever I think it was like one of Bubich's like shutdown games, I think it was against the Giants, and the guy's like, and then the San Francisco Giants received a boob job from Chris Bubich. I was like, that's fucking out of pocket, bro. Um, but yeah, and like, I mean, is there anything else really to say about him? I feel like if he can just pick up where he left off last year, I know it's a very high bar to get to. Like he's
Yeah.
at us, you know, 255. You know, I mean, the win loss record wasn't great, but that was because the offense was Al Qaeda.
Yep.
I mean, is there? What do you think is the bare minimum? What do you think the minimum is? Like, okay, it works from Bubic.
Uh, honestly, I think for me it'd just be as long as he keeps like a 3.2 ERA and anything lower
Yeah.
this season, then I think I wouldn't say like not back, but like we're starting to see him like, he's solid. He's there.
Yeah.
But if we start seeing the same thing we saw last year, obviously it's like, all right, we're getting the same dude.
Yeah, like I mean, if I think there is a high end, like, you know, the high end world for the Royals, and obviously it's everything has to go right for them. And I think Lugo is kind of like the very hard thing to bet on to think like, oh, will Lugo go back to 2024? Seth Lugo, it's like that's a little tougher to bet on. It's like if
Yeah, that
Greg,
one's the most kind of unrealistic I
but if
think
like
out of all scenarios we're kind of cooking up here.
if but if like Reagans can go back to 2024 Reagans, and Bubic can go to 2025 Bubic, and these next few guys we talk about, if they can be the consistent hands that they were last year, it's another year where the Royals have an insane rotation to work with. And we're gonna move on to the next guy. I made the joke, well, as soon as we got into the channel. I have all these notes, these little cliff notes, just for stuff for us to talk about with these pitchers. This guy I have absolutely nothing to talk about. As far as like cliff notes, I have his stats. We'll talk about him, but it's Michael Wacha. Wacha is going into his third year. Last year he went 10-13 with a 3.86 ERA. He pitched 166 innings. I think the one thing you kind of get with Michael Wacha is like you're not going to get 2 bad games in a row from Michael Wacha. Like that's what I say. If there was one thing about him is like you usually don't get 2 straight bad games. Like if he turns in a bad game, you know at least next time he's like, okay, maybe he won't be like, Terrence Skubal shutting everybody down, but he'll give it a solid performance. And like that's I think what you've been able to rely on. And like you look at his stats from the year prior in 2024, there's not that much difference except for the win-loss record. He pitched 172 innings. He had a 3.35 ERA, but he went 13-8. And once again, I think some of that just comes down to the offense got worse in some states. And also, like, stuff happens. Like, sometimes you catch a break where sometimes the offense can bail you out in, 2024, and then they didn't do that in 2025. So, I mean, what do you think of Michael Wacha? Because, it just feels like I don't have much on him.
I would say Wacha is just kind of like the most, I'd say, average to slightly above average arm you could find in today's game. He'll make sure he might have a shutout game 1 or 2 times in the season, but most times he'll probably give up 1 or 2 runs during his outing, and then pitch maybe 6-7 innings, and then call it a day, and that's it. So usually he'll have a 3 or 2 ERA. On bad days, obviously it jumps up. But yeah, average.
So
About to expect.
So just a very random thing about Michael Wacha. I talk with my dad about the Royals every once in a while, and the only guy he knows from the Royals is Michael Wacha.
Is it because he's from Iowa?
No, it's all because he played for the Cardinals.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Yeah, and
I thought it was because he's from Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa. But he's like, Wacha's still playing? I'm like, yeah, Wacha's still playing. And one day he said the cringiest shit ever. He goes, yeah, Wacha. I was like, we're driving in a car. I'm like, please turn into oncoming traffic. I was like,
I would have just grabbed the wheel.
I was like, he's like, man, I really loved Wacha as a Cardinal. I was like, yeah. I'm like, he's all right. He's all right. But yeah, I just thought that was. I was like, because they play the Pac-Man sound when he gets a strikeout. I'm like, what if they played that?
The wop wop.
What if they played that instead? I'd go find the PA guy and start fucking beating him with a rubber hose. Like, dude, knock that shit off now. That is the cringiest shit you can do. Well, getting into the last guy from the starting rotation, the pride of St. Joseph, Missouri, as he's called on, I'm not calling it X, it's Twitter. Fuck you. Noah Cameron, coming off of his rookie year last year. I mean, I don't follow the minor league system like that well. I don't know a lot of the guys, the prospects they have. When he came in against the Tampa Bay Rays, I didn't really know what to expect. I definitely didn't expect him to take a no-hitter into the 7th inning. That was the craziest shit I've ever, like, as the game was going on, I was like, oh my god, he actually might get a no-hitter. Like, he was dealing. And, he's not a guy who racks up a ton of strikeouts. He's a pitch to contact. But, I mean, a fantastic rookie year. He went 9-7 with a 2.99 ERA, 114 strikeouts. And my one real cliff note on him was that he didn't have a game with a 3 ERA or higher until September. Like, he was, I mean, whatever expectation anyone had for him coming into the season, I think he definitely blew it out of the water.
Yeah. I was so pumped to talk about Noah Cameron. Yeah, to kind of to kind of talk about what you're talking about. Noah Cameron to start the year. He didn't have a game with an ERA above 2 until about the beginning of June.
Yeah.
And that's probably about 5 games.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he lost 3 of those.
Yeah. Once again.
And that was one thing I kind of wanted to say is, his win-loss record would be a little bit better if he'd get a little bit run support.
Yeah. He lost the game 1-0, didn't he? Against the Cardinals.
Against the Cardinals, yep.
I remember because it was just one solo home run. It was a single solo home run. And it happened pretty early in the game. And you're like, it's okay. Just one run. And then
we never did anything.
And I think I fell asleep and I took a nap because I was like working mornings. So I took a nap.
Wait, that might have been the game where I might be misremembering this one. That might have been the game where Jack Caglione got robbed of a hit.
I believe he may have, yeah. But
I think that was the same series.
I woke up and it was the 8th inning and they still didn't have a run and I'm like, oh shit, they're really gonna cost him because that was like
the amount of quality starts they blew.
Dude, I mean, and then in the second half of the year, Matt Contreras was like, no, you can't have a quality start because I'm pulling you in the 5th. You can take your quality start and shove it right up your ass.
That's another thing that
that shit. But there was one game where it was especially offensive, and I'm trying to remember who was starting. It was either Cameron or Burgert. They were playing against Detroit. They were dealing. They get to 5 innings in 2 outs, and they call upon Angel Serpa to go. And he fucking gave up a home run. I
think I know exactly what you're talking about. I think we were watching that game together because I remember I probably said some about Angel Serpa coming on.
God. I was at work when it happened, but I was watching it on my phone.
And
so like I'm walking to another room and I still have it in my headphones and I just hear a crack. And I'm like, shit. And all I think of is like, Rudy's gonna text me at some point tonight, be like, Angel Serpa. And they're like, and like, well, they want the lefty match for Zerpa. I'm like, that didn't fucking work. Should have just let whoever. I think it was Burger. Now
it had to be Burger because Cameron's a lefty.
Yeah, it was Burger, and I was like, well, Burger got fucking costed because they wanted a lefty matchup.
I want everyone to know too, just for the record, anytime Angel Serpa would do something like that, and it was quite frequently, often actually, which is a little disturbing now that he's actually doing good and he's not even on the team anymore. I would always send Gabe a picture of a pitcher holding a meatball behind it. Yeah. And I would just send Angel Serpa's favorite pitch.
Fortunately, I couldn't get as angered because there was another guy in the bullpen that over the season I started to hate even more than I could Zerpa. We'll get to him in a little bit. Before we close it out, like just going through these 5 starters.
Oh, do we need to talk about the sixth? I guess that's like not like a starter, but like hybrid. I guess that's still here.
I don't know. I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. So go. Oh wait. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Ryan Bergert.
No,
Oh no. Who are you talking about?
the other. We were talking about him before the pirate.
Well, the
Bailey
what?
Bailey Falter. Bailey Falter.
Okay, let's get into that shit.
So for everyone, we were talking about this before we started. Obviously Kolek has his oblique injury to start the season. I think I did see something that he pitched a bullpen session 3 days ago, and he might be pitching in a minor league game. So that's a positive sign. Excited to see Kolek back. Hopefully he comes back like in April. I think that's about the timeline, like mid-April. But we have Berger and Falter, also from the trades that we got last year towards the deadline. And Gabe and I were talking about the performance between the two, and we were a little shocked. Even, I mean, Berger had a bad spring training, to be quite frank. But even after that, I still would have thought that they would consider how he played last year, and maybe put him in in Kansas City instead of Omaha to start the year. But they went with Falter, and yeah. So Gabe, how do you feel about that?
Hang Bailey Falter by the fucking balls. That's how I feel about it. So this fucking guy, he comes in, and I'm trying to look at his game logs, but I can't quite figure out where he actually started. The dude blew chunks. He came in, and we needed just starters. As I said, this was a point where Reagan's was done. We kind of had the idea that if he comes back, it's late in the year. Bubic was done for the year. And Cameron was still dealing with some kind of injury. So all 3 of these guys got chances. And Falter was the first one to get his chance. And I was telling you this story before. Because then afterwards, I think Berger got his first start, and he did really well. Like, Pitt put in I don't know if it was a quality start, but it was a very solid performance. Kolek came up next and did the exact same thing. Bailey Falter went out there, and I want to say he gave up 3 to 4 runs in his first inning, starting. Pretty soon, he was taken out of the rotation. He was put in the bullpen. And I swear he put even more damage on the team. This guy was given so many, ooh, okay. This guy was given way too many situations. As I said, the situation that I was thinking about was where, I want to say it was the same game that Zerpa gave up that home run. Because he gave up the home run. They tied the game. Then Zerpa then gets out of the inning. And it's the 7th inning. It's a tie game. They send out Falter. And Falter is like, ooh, tie game. Let's change that up, shall we? Gave up 3 runs. It's like, well, screw sending out Erceg or Estevez. This game's over. I can't remember a game he had where I was like, man, Bailey Falter, he really cooked there. Can you think of one?
I'm actually going through his game logs and I cannot find a single one. So after he actually got traded from Pittsburgh to Kansas City, he did not have a game under 3 ERA. Actually, under 4 ERA. I'm pretty sure the game. I'm pretty sure the game you might be thinking of was against Boston. He pitched 4 innings and allowed 7 runs.
Very possible.
Does that sound?
Very possible. Let me see here.
Oh yeah, it definitely was.
Well,
I have it right here.
I'm trying to see here. Earned runs. Where's the earned runs here for him? Okay, so
Jaron Duran hit a 3-run home run in the first inning.
oh my god, he is such a clown. I'm looking at his stats. He is such a clown.
Ref Snyder singled the center, Bregman scored, and Gonzalez scored, so that was 2-0, and then he allowed that 3-run home run, and it was 5-0. And I'd still like to point out they still had him in. Bottom of the third, Rafaela singled the center, and Trevor Story scored 6-0.
Yeah.
Bottom of the fourth, he's still pitching. Bregman singled to left, Toro scored at 7-1. And guess who comes in and allows the next run?
Who?
Sam Long.
I found the game. It was Detroit. It was a 7-3 loss to Detroit, I think.
Oh, that's even worse. I know what game you're talking about because I saw that one.
Yeah. He went out there and looks like he gave up 5 hits, three earned runs. 3 earned runs.
I'm telling you, the Boston one's worse. Five runs in the first is pretty bad.
The Detroit one pissed me off so much more, though. The Detroit one pissed me off so much more. Oh my gosh. Look at that. There's 4 earned runs against Detroit again. This guy. Oh my.
So, you want to hear something funny about that? The Royals were actually up 3-0 in that game. Then he allowed a homer in the bottom of the third, bottom of the sixth. Oh wait, no, this is Berger. Berger came in, but it says Bailey Falter. Oh, yeah, never mind. Bailey Falter pitching, and yeah, he had a hell inning in the bottom of the 7th.
Yep, I remember. That was the game. I was
Literally
like, I had my phone and I'm watching it, and Bailey Falter is literally pissing all over the ashes of what Angel Serpa already blew up, and Ryan Berger's just sitting there watching these clowns ruin his work. Like, imagine.
Yeah, so it was a tie game.
Good.
And then Falter came in, and and Javier Baez singled, and then there was a throwing error, and so it was 3-4, and then another single 3-5, a double 3-6, a single 3-7.
Why should I even think for like a second that this guy deserves a roster spot?
5 hits, 1 run.
The guy needs to go down to the T-ball field, a few blocks down from my place, and he needs to start working there. The guy, the fact that he has this spot, and as you said, it's probably because Ryan Berger did not have a good spring training.
Also in Kolik's injury.
Yeah. What should I take more seriously? Ryan Berger's poor spring training season, or Bailey Falter's poor season?
I would have thought they'd consider Leswinder Avila or Avia, the guy that pitched for Venezuela.
Yeah,
he looked pretty solid in WBC.
Wouldn't want a guy who just won the baseball classic. No, you need this fucking guy who fucking blew 3 different leads for you in the short time that he joined the team from the trade deadline. But I don't want to spend any more time talking about Satan. Let's get into the bullpen, shall we? The bullpen.
We shall.
We were talking about it beforehand, and I think questionable is a good word. Is a nice word to use.
Yeah.
a very questionable bullpen where some of the decisions that they have made with this bullpen is definitely interesting. So we're not gonna go break them down name by name. I'm gonna give the names, and we'll stop on some of the main names. So Estevez, who we'll get into in just a minute about how there are some concerns about him, but obviously, as much as he earned the name Estevez, obviously it wasn't always clean. He led the league in saves. He was doing something right.
Yeah.
So, but right now his velocity has become a real issue. It's going 88 to 90 in spring training. Apparently, it was a little slow last year, but not this slow. It was like
I was gonna bring that up. It's the same kind of thing it was last year, velo wise, but yeah, it seemed kind of weird. He said that at first he was kind of dialing it back because of injury, like he didn't want to tax his arm and all that. But now it's just like if he can still touch that. I'm not even like 97. I'm probably like 94, 95 range.
Yeah.
And like if he can get on his cutter, like maybe like a 91 or something, just like kind of touch the 90s instead of staying this like 88, 80, like 87.
The other problem is that I've heard about is like he hasn't had good command.
Yeah.
Which that's even like if you could have good command, but you're stuck in between 88 to 90, it's like maybe you can get away with it. But like if you're throwing at that velo and you don't have your command, it's a big problem.
Yeah, and I mean, it'd probably help if he helps working on his spin.
Yeah, but like it was also I know that it became that running joke with Estevez because it was, but like as I said, like towards the end of the year, wouldn't you even say that you trusted the guy a shit ton? Like it got to the point where like I was like, why do I trust him to get the 3 outs before I trust Irsay? Like that switched towards the end of the year where Irsay kept giving out runs in the eighth, and it was like, oh, like now Estevez has even less room for error, and he'd still shut it down. So like Estevez, I love just about everything about what Estevez could do. Like you said, as much as sometimes it can be a struggle, you lead the league in saves, you're doing something right. Speaking of Irsay, as I said, like Lucas Irsay, he'll be in the bullpen. He was the setup man last year. After he had a few stints in the beginning of the year as the closer, where when he was like you couldn't get he was like you can't get a run off me, like, you can't get anything
Yeah.
off me. Like it
Well,
took
and
him
then even that
months.
year before too, when like during that playoff run against the Orioles when he was closing, he was a madman that year.
Dude, he was automatic. And then
Yeah.
he went and closed out the Yankees too in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it took him like nearly almost like 2 months to give up his first home run. But then he just hit a wall around in the summer, around the time that the Royals started really struggling, and it felt like it just kind of went across the roster, and Irsay was one of them that kind of got hit with it. I know we talked about it beforehand, but like if Estevez really can't get his command on, and he can't get his velo up, do you see Irsay like taking the closer spot until
Yeah,
he
I
gets
think it
figured
could
out?
be between. I think it could go between him and like maybe Schreiber or Strom, but yeah, I think with how Lucas has played in the past, I think they would probably give him more of the closer than those two.
Yeah. We already talked about Satan himself. Um, Daniel Lynch. Like I'm skipping two names because I'll let you go off on those two because you know more about him and how baffling it is that they're probably going to make this team. Daniel Lynch, said he's been in a few different roles. He's had a few saves even. Like he's had two. I think he's had two saves as a Royal. He's also been a starter. Um, He was the opener when they were pulling their bullpen games. I think solid, really solid. Just naming the bullpen. There's nothing more really to him though. Like I don't think like as much as it pains me to be like it sucks that I feel like if we needed a starter out of the bullpen, this godforsaken organization would give it to Bailey Falter before they gave it to Daniel Lynch. But I don't know. You have any thoughts on Daniel Lynch?
I mean, I think he's solid. He's not gonna blow you away with his fastball. Kind of know what to expect. Off speeds mostly his bread and butter. Um, just kind of another lefty arm to have in the pen. So yeah.
Now let's get into these two guys. Because you're putting together their projected roster, and these two names stuck out as two names that only stuck out because we're like, who the fuck are these guys? Nick Mears, Alex Lange. Is that how you say his name?
I think so.
Lange or Lang?
Probably Lang.
Okay, Alex. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? You haven't earned the right for me to say your last name right, Alex. Nick Mears and Alex. Go off.
I mean, Nick Mears, he pitched 8 innings last year at the pro ball level, and he had an 8 ERA. Feel like that alone should probably say enough.
So he averaged a run per inning.
Yeah. And he allowed about a base runner or two every inning pitched. So, or a hit or walk. I mean, so not a great mark. I'm here to tell you. Alex Lang. I mean, pitch. Yeah, 1 inning, 2 hits, allowed a walk. That's it. That's all this guy's done within the past year. Last time he pitched, I think yeah. Last time he pitched, he had a 4.5 ERA. So this guy's 30. I was kind of shocked that he got in the bullpen and they didn't want to give it to any other younger arms, but
I said
here we are.
Sounding pretty nice now, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Especially with how he.
But Anel Zerpa is a lefty. Anel Zerpa's a lefty, so.
Yeah, I mean, again, like we have this very strong rotation, but then, I mean, in 2024, the bullpen was a concern.
Yeah, the arm barn's just not there.
We need to be politically correct. We can't offend the cows.
That's correct.
But like, I felt like the bullpen overall took a step forward last year. Like, you have Estevez come in and lead the league in saves. Like, Erseg, more often than not, was a great setup man. I know you had your problems with him, but like, Serpa had his moments. Cruz was okay. You still had Lynch in there. Now this year, I feel
I'll say I'm shocked Cruz is starting in the minors.
Yeah.
This year. Also, another name that I know we brought Zerpa up quite a bit, but I'd say, obviously I'm gonna say it's an upgrade, but still after the season he had last year, Matt Strahm was like lights out for Philly last year in the bullpen.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm so excited to have him. And I was talking before we started this that he would probably be like the setup guy. I'd probably see him a lot in the 8th, maybe the 7th.
Yeah.
Just kind of depends on the whole Estevez situation, but I'm super excited about Strahm. He's gonna be I think he's gonna be such a good lefty pin or a lefty arm out of the arm barn.
Gotcha. Would you say that though is Strahm the only upgrade from this bullpen compared to last year? I feel like the rest of this is a big question mark.
I would say yeah, but at the same time, like the main components for me, Estevez, if he can get his velo back up.
Yep.
Solid component. Urseg, solid component. Schreiber is been pretty solid. He's given up a couple runs like in the clutch, like 7th inning. Can't hold it all the time as well, but
Joe Adele. We didn't
but
sign Joe
he's
Adele.
he's still solid. That's another thing that yeah, we but yeah,
From the outfield.
Schreiber's always been solid, and yeah, so those three guys have been kind of the big thing for me, and then Strom I'm pretty excited about. So as long as those four guys can be solid and the rotation can be good, I'm not worried about if Nick Mears has to come out. I guess maybe Nick Mears is like a Sam Long type. We put him in where we're up like to 5 runs if that ever happens.
I need to find the name of the one fucker who got to play like 2 games when the Royals were really struggling. It was against the White Sox and nearly blew the game. I think his last name was
I think I know
Richards.
exactly who you're talking about.
It's like Richards
Wait,
or
what?
something. I don't remember. He doesn't. I don't think he plays for them anymore. Whatever his name was, he went out there. They were up like 8-1. They had already lost the series against the fucking White Sox, which was already embarrassing enough. And then Estevez had to go out there and save his ass because this guy was throwing 86-mile-per-hour fastballs. I'm like, what am I watching? Phew! Fucking homeless man walked onto the field and he's throwing pitches. Yeah, no. You need runs out of your outfield. You got a guy who, fucked you like 4 times in a 3-game series out of the outfield. And what do? Pass. Moving on.
I will say, if that was the case, we could have got Ty France.
Fuck that guy. Actually, fuck.
Anyway, catchers.
Catchers. 2 of them.
Yep,
We don't have to
that's
throw
about
out
this.
Luke Maley this year. He's in the minors.
About the same thing that we had last year,
Yeah.
except Luke Maley.
Actually, a guy,
The
the
whole
guy who excites replacing Luke Maley is actually exciting, and I won't see his name in the lineup and think, ah, shit, here we go again. So obviously,
honestly, I'd rather have MJ Melendez over Maley.
I think Luke Maley's ERA was better.
I mean, average.
A deck chair probably would have had a better ERA than MJ Melendez. Firstly, Salvador Perez coming off of his win at the World Baseball Classic.
He got a tattoo for it.
Good for him. What's the name of the USA reliever who blew it? Whitlock?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, fuck that guy. Send him to Venezuela.
Definitely don't blame it on the $500 million hitters. Anyway.
Yeah. So Salvi, he had a 30 home run season last year, which, I mean, is insane because the guy cannot stop chasing.
Yeah, it's painful to watch at this point. It's like you see the slider coming from 40 miles away, and you just know right off the pitcher's hands, Salvi's swinging at that thing, and that's going to be in the dirt, and it's a strikeout. He's walking straight to the dugout and with his head down, but hey, he's going to have a nice smile coming back up.
Yep.
And when he goes to see that catcher in the batter's box again, he's going to go, "Hey, man, how's it going?" Dap him up. And then when he cranks that hog,
unless it's the Diamondbacks guys, then he's going to tell him how much he fucking
then he's going to fist fight. Yeah.
Fucking hate you
Fuck
guys.
the Diamondbacks. Yeah. And you know what? I stand with Salvi on that. Fuck him. Throw a Bobby, I'll throw your mom.
He was going for the cycle in that game, wasn't he? And they threw at him.
He was. Yep. He was going for the cycle.
But,
and they said it wasn't intentional. Anyway.
But, I was going to make an analogy with Salvi. You got like an old dog you love a lot. And then you just want him to stay put, but he keeps chasing after cars. That's Salvador Perez. You're like, you see the car coming, and you're like, oh no, please don't do it. And then he chases after. You're like, what are you gonna do? He's I
That's
forget
just
how
how
I forget how old Salvi
that's how he
is.
goes.
How old? Do you know how old he is? I forget his actual age.
I think he's 35.
Lugo's older than him?
Yes.
That's fucking nutty. Um, but yeah, like Salvi, I think this is like a year where I think at one point there was maybe a fantasy that this would be the process he was going through with MJ back when MJ came up. But now he's got a new name behind him, Carter Jensen. And I think there's a lot of hope that like by the end of this year, Jensen's getting a lot more starts. I'm trying to remember the exact like I mean, overall Jensen had a pretty good year. Like for the short time.
Yeah, he only had 60 at bats last year, but he had 300 average. Only 3 home runs, but he had 941 OPS.
Wasn't one of
So, I
them
mean, he's
like
pretty solid.
530 feet? Like the
Yeah,
last game
some
of the
crazy.
regular season, he fired a 530-yard piss missile. I was like, give this man, give this man a
He's been
bat.
crushing them in spring training too.
Yeah, I mean, is it reasonable to expect that like by the end of this year, Jensen is maybe starting more games in a week than Salvi?
Maybe you and I have talked about this quite a bit, and this is kind of how I expect it to go. I think it's going to be more of the Freddie for me kind of role where Carter's probably going to come in like on a Sunday, Saturday game. Probably catch like 1 or 2 games of the week, and then Salvi will do the rest. And then the games that Salvi doesn't catch, he'll either DH first base or he'll just won't start. But they really don't have him not start, so it's either going to be DH or first base.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I expect out of him. But if he keeps the pop in his bat, there's not really like any denying him from the lineup. Kind of have to find a spot for him. So
It's also just like I remember, and I think Q talked about it after the 2024 season, I believe, where and I think it's good on Salvi. I mean, like the guy, he's realistic about where he is in his career, and he's not selfish about it. Where like he's like, he isn't like a Rafael Devers level bitch about it. Where like you people paid me to catch. It's like no, you're paid to play for the Royals. And he's willing to go to first base if they believe like, hey, we can get something out of Jensen at catcher for the day. Because like there was more than like one game out of a week where Fermin could sometimes step in, and you always wanted to see that because at the time you were like, well, Freddie, until he got traded, unfortunately, by the former Venezuelan, but
the firm dog,
for
Firminator.
But yeah, like I think it is good that you have someone like Salvi who isn't going to like who doesn't have a big enough ego or anything to be like, no, I'm catching, or like I'm not gonna go to first base. Like he's more than fine to do it, and I think it's a good place for Jensen to be. And is there anything? I mean, anything else? Because like I don't. I mean, boring injury, and then it's like, oh shit, here comes Luke Maley.
Or Blake Mitchell.
But but yeah, like I feel like it's kind of hard to guess what to expect from Salvi because like as much as you're like he's chasing everything, he is slow as fuck. But he had 30 home runs. He had a near 100. I don't remember he had a 100 RBI or a near 100 RBI season. Like it was a good year from the guy. But like at his age, you don't know exactly 100 RBIs. He hit it right on the dot. 100 RBIs. And exactly 30 home runs. The dude was very concise, to say the least. But with a
He had a goal and he hit it.
Yeah. I'm going 30 home runs. I'm going 100 RBIs. I'm not going a fucking lick over that.
Yeah.
Stop with it. Gargle on my balls.
Blow me.
Said, like, I agree that, like, it might be slow, but I mean, obviously, in a perfect world, if like Jensen is playing at a level where you're like, okay, like we got to be starting this guy more often than just like once or twice a week, then that's obviously the best case scenario. But you know, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, especially with Salvy's age, we're kind of hoping that Jensen is the heir to the catcher spot here in KC. Either him or Blake Mitchell, one of the two, but one of these guys hopefully has to pan out.
Yeah. And
Because
from what we
both are,
saw from Jensen,
perfect
both
picks.
at the end of last year and in spring training, he seems very poised that he can do it.
Yeah.
Getting into the infield, this is an infield that I've said I think defensively is one of the best infields in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I mean, about Gold Glovers in every position.
You got,
I mean, in my opinion.
You got the Pasquatch. You got Vinny Pasquantino. You got Bobby Witt Jr. You've got Maikel Garcia. I have now heard it might be Michael Garcia, which is very confusing. Like, at the World Baseball Classic, his teammates were calling him Michael. But then his Royals teammates still call him Maikel. I feel like there was a situation like, was it Kelsey? Where it's like, oh, it's actually Kels.
You know, at this point, so many people are like, this is how I actually pronounce my name. I don't know how anyone pronounces a name anymore.
Yeah, but Maikel Garcia. Second base, it's a little iffy, but it's Jonathan India. It seems to be. That seems to be where it is. And he's fine defensively. Offensively, there was steps forward though. Like obviously you have Bobby, who is Bobby Witt Jr. Vinny was another 30
home runs.
30 home runs, 100 RBIs, great season. You know, looked good in the World Baseball Classic. Has been making improvements. He would have had a similar stat line the previous year if he hadn't had that thumb.
If he did get injured. Yeah.
Maikel Garcia, you know, another guy.
Should have won a Gold Glove.
Obviously, in 2024, he started really good and then kind of petered off. Last year was an improvement. He stepped forward in that regard. I think he was a little more consistent. I think I was watching this breakdown of, like, going into how can the Royals produce a top 10 offense. And I think the requirements that you needed from this outfield when they're going down the list, I'm like, it's not that unrealistic from an infield perspective, sorry. Bobby, Vinny, Maikel, and it's like if India can go back to his Reds form, or was it Reds?
Yes.
If he can go back to his Reds form, it's like that's at least from an infield perspective, that's the recipe. If Maikel can keep going off this momentum he's on, where last year he brought in more consistency, he was really good at the World Baseball Classic, and then Vinny and Salvi, you got two guys who were 100 RBI, 30 home run guys, and then you have Bobby Witt Jr. Like that. Obviously, you want everything has to work out, but it's not that insane.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, second base is kind of like the big focus point for me. For me personally, I would kind of want this year to be more focused on Massey, or at least like trying to get Massey more in, because like it felt like last year he was starting to get more pop in his swing. So I like to kind of see him like start hitting the ball.
Yeah.
like saw a little bit of it, but he didn't get as many at bats as Jonathan India did. So that was kind of unfortunate. I mean, obviously Massey had the injury too last year, but yeah, it's just India, and we talked about this before. This kind of has to be an improvement year, especially after last year with um having to give up a guy like Brady Singer, who at the time was like a like 1 to 3 in your rotation.
Yeah.
For a guy that's batting like 230, 240.
There's also like the fact that Brady had a very nice emotional connection with the Royals, and the fact that they traded him for this guy, and he went and did what. But don't worry, he sent Emmanuel Clase to the gulag.
That was the last ever pitch.
That was Clase's last pitch. Was Jonathan India pissing on him? That
Well,
he can take some pride in.
Clase probably won big on that one too.
Have you seen it's like the meme of the guy like turning around to check out the woman behind him and his girlfriend's next to him looking at him? It's like Emmanuel Clase. It's like he's got like whatever it was
MLB,
like it was like 13 million legally turning around. It's like 90,000 illegally. It's like, what the fuck?
We're making money moves.
It's like, you know how Stephen A. Smith gets on a bunch of people for smoking weed all the time? Stop fucking gambling on these games. Like, you guys make so much, like, Special Emmanuel, like, what are you getting out of gambling? Like, you are one of the top relievers in Major League Baseball. And you're like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna fucking gamble. Because I fucking wanna.
What do you do? Stop me? And that's what they did.
It's like Shannon Sharp. It's like, hey, dum I think they lay it out. You can't bet on your own fucking sport. Good God. But with India, I'm gonna say, and there's another guy in here. You know who the answer is gonna be, Rudy. You know who the answer is gonna be to second base.
Nick Lofton or Tyler Toffoli?
Nick Lofton. Bro, you were like Moistradamus when we were in Kansas City, when they were playing Pittsburgh, and I was like, oh, great. Fucking Nick Lofton's up to bat. You're like, don't worry. He's got power. And he fucking... I'm like, oh, yeah, power? Is that what he's got? He line drives one down the third baseline for a home run, and then Erceg blows the lead. We go to the ninth, and Lofton's back up. He fucking walks the game off. I'm like, can he do that more? Like, this fucking guy just was shit for so long. Rudy goes out here and pulls a projection out of his ass, and guy's like, my calling.
Guys, I think also part of it is just when I go to the K, I have like some sort of like third eye that opens that I turn into like God, and I can come up with like the most insane prediction of all time, but I don't know how to pronounce hospice.
Hospice?
I about said it. Just
that would be funny. That'd be funny. Yeah, no, it's like for a while they're like 3 or 4 straight games. I'm like, Rudy, how long is the pitcher going? I'm like, he's gonna go 5 2/3. This motherfucker goes 5 2/3. All right, one more out. He's good. And I see Contreras coming up. I'm like, there's no fucking shot this is happening right now. Like, there's
they don't
no
like
way.
the matchup. The pitch count's too high.
Oh, yeah, the pitch. Oh, my God. I think that was... God, who was playing? I think you got one.
I think that was a Brady Singer game. It was a pitch count game.
Yeah. You also did one with Greinke. You nailed one with Greinke on opening day a couple years ago. But
yeah, I think I said that was like 5 2/3.
Yeah.
I think that was the 5 2/3 game.
5 2/3.
That was against the Twins.
Yeah, 5 2/3 of 1-run ball. He gave us 5, and we lost 2-0.
We lost.
I remember we walked out of that stadium like, I'm afraid. Well, I'm like, I know
I'm
it's only
pretty sure
one.
they only got a hit that game. They
Yeah.
only got like one hit.
They had bases loaded because they had walked them twice with one out and they couldn't convert.
I'm pretty sure that was the year they didn't score a run until like the 4th game of the season or something like that.
Yeah, I remember.
Or it was like some ludicrous, there was like 15, 16 scoreless innings or something.
We were walking back to our car, and it was just like, I think the Royals are gonna suck this year. We're one game in, we're like,
That was
oh boy, I think that team kind of sucks. Team that's pulling out Franmil Reyes in opening day is a concern.
I remember I was kind of excited about that too. I said the Franimal as a joke.
Oh god, that is not good.
Anyway.
Is there anything else you want to say about the infield? Because we went over that second base is really the only place that there's going to be any real question about. Everywhere else is like, well, barring injury, that's our infield.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like the only other dude I want to talk about would be Tyler Tolbert. That guy, I just want everyone to know that guy is going to be Dairon Blanco 2.0. Anyway, we can go to the outfield now.
Okay. Yeah, the outfield. I said in that infield, you had Bobby, who didn't have an excellent season, but still had a very good season last year. Michael, who made some improvements. And Vinny, who went 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. Salvi goes 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. And you hear all that, and you think, well, how did the Royals offense suck so bad? And then we get to the outfield, and it starts to become a little more clear why they couldn't get runs. So, and the issue is there's a few familiar faces in here, but we're gonna look at the positive of it. We'll try to make this first. Kyle Isbell, pretty consistent center fielder. Once again, he said, I think he's a league average bat. I think I'd say he was the one in there that was a league average bat outside of Yastrzemski, who's obviously not here anymore. But I don't know, like, is he? I don't think I think his ceiling is quite low, but he's got a good floor for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think ceiling wise, would probably just be like if he somehow roided up and got like insane amount of power and pop in his bat and just started getting an insane home run ball all of a sudden. But I don't really see that happening. So I would say as long as he just keeps like his average, the average tool of just being able to get on base, get quick hits, and be that guy that's on base to score a run in case there's a bloop single or some sort of. But yeah, Kyle Isbell, that's about it, probably.
Yeah. I mean, fucking get Kyle Isbell getting roided up. Ugh, that would be. I'm trying to. Who's the motherfucker for the Diamondbacks that just got suspended for that shit?
Trying to think.
You sent me his thing.
Oh, that wasn't the Diamondbacks. That was the Braves. Jurickson Profar for the second year in a row, actually.
Jurickson Profar.
After he just signed, I think it was like a 3-year deal with them.
Oh, I was thinking of I think Ketel Marte got suspended not that long ago, maybe for it.
Mm.
I was gonna say, friggin'. Oh yeah. I looked up Diamondback suspension. The first one, Andrew Saalfrank got suspended for gambling. So what is wrong with you people?
This podcast is sponsored by DraftKings and FanDuel and Underdog and
Prize Picks and Robinhood.
KingBet.
KingBet. Just like
Kalshi.
just just load it up. It's like, man, I always give shit to, like, I remember I got into an argument with someone where I'm like, yeah, it's like they penalize someone in the NFL for doing a gun celebration, and they're like, they need to set an example. I'm like, oh yeah, they're setting a great example. Now please, let's play another gambling commercial. Great idea. So moving out through the rest of the outfield, one of the other new faces, Starling Marte,
Yeah.
come out from the New York Mets, I believe. And I know
Yep.
you've told this story a couple of times about how he was one time rumored for a trade to the Royals.
Yeah, there was a Sports Illustrated article that said, before the trade deadline last year, the Royals needed to trade Jack Caglione to the New York Mets for Starling Marte on the bench.
Now, do you know who? Is there a ghost outside your room? I see. I
Uh,
see.
maybe
Now, I want. Do you know who would have ever published such an article?
Hitler.
I was gonna say, they need to be tried for war crimes.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know who came up with that idea.
Now Marte, he's 37, by the way. I do remember that. He's 37 years old, so he is not a spring chicken. But it's very made the point before that, like, the bar for really the other two corner outfield spots when it comes to offense is in hell. When it comes to these guys, like, it's going to be very hard for Marte. I mean, now he could very well come in and be the next Hunter Renfroe for the Royals. It's not out of the realm of possibility, because I don't quite get. I made the joke that they should have went
Or
and got.
MJ Melendez.
They should have gone out and got, Joe Adele. And when I hear it's Starling Marte, I'm like, I feel like that's like we don't actually really want to fucking go get a outfielder, so we're gonna go get old man Starling Marte. But I said it's just so hard for him to perform less than what we were getting out of those positions. And then lastly, I shouldn't say lastly. Lastly, of one of the guys that we think will start, but from where we were trying to predict where we thought this roster would go, and we were not even fucking close on a lot of these things. So it's hard to predict this. Caglione, um, another guy came up. Some would say too early. Like, that was a top talking point when Jack got called up. Was like, did the Royals kind of jump the gun, maybe putting too much pressure on the guy? And it was a struggle. And then he got injured. He came back. It was still a little bit of a struggle, but he's had a really good spring training, and he had a really good he had a good World Baseball Classic, and so, and I mean, he's the high upside guy. He is there. If the Royals want to get themselves to a top 10 offense, it's probably with Jack Caglione playing regularly and reaching his high upside potential.
Yeah, I mean, for my hope, I'm hoping Caglione can kind of use the WBC performance he just had and the spring training as a catapult into a breakout season. I mean, obviously last year his average was low. His home run ball wasn't really there as much, and that was like the big thing that he was known for was his power. Um, but the couple shots he did have, they were I mean, he got a hold of them. And defensively in the outfield, I was a little worried from him transitioning from first base to outfield, wondering what that would look like. But with his arm, because I mean, he used to pitch a little bit in Florida. Um, he does have a really good arm. He did hit like 101 on the gun, so I'm interested to see what his arm's going to be like in the outfield. Obviously, I've seen him fielding in the outfield last year. I remember watching him rob a home run in San Diego. That was sick. So if he can just like keep doing stuff like that, um, I think he'll be solid over there. So it's just kind of seeing how offensively, if he can build on what he's done in this WBC and the spring training.
Now, you brought him. We'll get. We'll be really quick on this guy. Brought him up just a little bit ago. His counterpart in the infield, Dairon Blanco.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, very fast. Obviously, he's not. I mean, unless you give him a crayon bat, the dude's kind of useless with one. That is still one of the weirder occurrences where this guy's like, I can't do anything with the bat in my hand.
yeah.
And then like we're like, hey,
But when
we're gonna make it look
I
like
turn
a
into Barry
crayon.
Bonds.
We're gonna make it look like a crayon. Oh, I'm gonna hit like 5 home runs. Okay. Can we keep the crayon bat? Like we need to set him up with that crayon bat for life.
And
But
Bobby can keep the Pablo Sanchez.
yeah. Now these next two guys, combine them together because we initially recorded a video where we broke down the outfield.
Mhm.
And in that video, one of these guys we didn't even talk about, and the other one we pretty much threw. We were making jokes like this guy is gonna be in an unemployment line, this guy is gonna be learning Chinese, this guy is done. And
And then this guy makes the roster.
from all projections, once again, they are just projections. There's still one other guy, I believe, who could maybe take one of these spots, but it does not seem likely. Lane Thomas and Isaac Collins. Now, Isaac Collins is a little bit of a different case. I don't think either of us really knew anything about that guy. But when I pulled up his stats, when I saw like how he actually did for the Brewers last year, I'm like, and then I didn't check what he did in spring training, but I'm like, I could kind of see like, okay, there was something there with him in Milwaukee. Like I can see why maybe he was getting a shot. Can you? And I don't know. What do you kind of like? What do you gain from Collins?
I think it's just kind of seeing. I mean, he's more of a flex guy. It kind of seems like. I mean, it seems like he can play in the infield as well. So I think it's his flexibility in that case. But also, I mean, I mean, looking at his stats from last year, he seemed pretty solid. It was just getting on base.
Yeah, so it was a guy that we hadn't really known anything about, so we didn't think that we needed to talk about him. But turns out he's gonna. It seems like very set in so he's gonna make the roster. Now this is
I just didn't think he could be an outfield option.
Now Lane Thomas is the guy that I think we were cracking jokes on him, and I don't think it was without reason. Like he wasn't, this guy wasn't exactly playing well for Cleveland in his little stretch there. He hasn't really been putting out together many great good stretches since his time in Washington. He wasn't doing anything special in spring training. But
he's also 30 years old.
He's also 30 years old. And with the options that the Royals have in the outfield, younger options that I don't think we'd look at and say there's much of a downgrade there. But Lane Thomas has found his way to seemingly get the spot. Now, there is another outfielder. It's Drew Waters, who is still technically on the roster. But I have not seen a single projection where it has him making the roster. Every single one, it's Lane Thomas. Can you give it, like, I can't pull together an explanation to that. And not just the Waters thing, but it's Waters, it's Meisner, it's Rave, and somehow Lane Thomas came out on top on this, and I don't quite get it.
The only thing I can think of is maybe they want a veteran presence in the outfield, but at the same time, you also have Starling Marte. So I wouldn't really understand that as much. Maybe they see something out of Lane Thomas that some other people don't. It's just he didn't have that great of a spring. He's 30 years old, as we've talked about. I know we've talked about Starling Marte being 37, and you might be worried about him getting an injury of some sort, and that's why you might keep Lane Thomas. but you have all these younger options in the minors and John Rave and Cameron Meisner and we talked about Drew Waters. I just don't understand how you look at any of these and you say, yeah, I want to go with the guy that's not performing as well and older. It's a proven commodity.
I mean, and I don't say this is the same thing because I think they genuinely thought at the time last year that this was their best option. But like last year, going into opening day, I mean, Kevin Biggio was playing in the outfield. Like that was a thing. Like I don't know if it's one of those things where I mean, you would hope that at some point someone's going to come, one of those three guys that we named, whether it's Waters or whether they give Rave. I think they'd, in a perfect world, they'd love it to be Rave because Rave is, I think, the younger of the three, or it's Meisner. But Lane Thomas being in the outfield for for the entire season, I can't imagine is their vision on this. But again, it's like I just can't foresee. I'm like how Lane Thomas was like so effective to them. They're like, no, like we need to have him up now because he's gonna be so much more of an upgrade over a Meisner or a Rave or a Waters. But kind of as we wrap things up here, we've gone through this entire roster. We've talked about not even being like a top 10 offense, but being an average offense. Like, and just talking about like, and we'll get into like our predictions in the next episode about like how we go about predicting the Royals season. What, I guess, just going through the scenario where this team can most realistically get to the playoffs, where do you like, what are some of these players need to like what's the, I'm trying to think of the right way to word this. Like what's the most realistic path for this team to get a playoff spot?
Well, it's going to start with the rotation and the infield. And obviously that was the big talking point that we just discussed. Obviously Jack Caglione, I'm going to kind of throw in here on this one, but pitching wise, it's really going to matter on the top 2-3 guys. Your 4 or 5 guy, it's just fitty fitty. If you can get him, if you can get a win, great. If not, whatever. But those first 3 guys, most important. Lugo, Reagans, Waka, whoever
Bubic.
they want to throw in that third one. Bubic, yeah, sorry, Bubic. Sorry, Bubic. Those are going to be like your big must-win games because those are going to be the guys are going to be like putting up the 0 shutout games, 1-run games. So that's going to be your run support games. And obviously it's probably going to be Bobby getting on base and Vinny hitting him in, stuff like that. Another thing I know Vinny is pretty self-aware about this. I've seen him talk about this quite a bit. I love Vinny to death, but he did it less last year than he did in 24, but he was very bad about hitting into double plays. So that's one thing that's definitely that will help is if Vinny can just try and not pull the ball as much and get the whole field working. And I know he's talked about doing that, and he did do a better job of doing it last year, working the whole field. If he can keep doing that, his RBIs are just going to keep going up.
Yeah.
Because I mean, as long as Bobby can keep getting on base, that's going to be the recipe for success. Is getting Bobby on base and just batting him in with Salvi, Jack, Vinny, and then you reset with Michael, and then keep going.
Yeah, I said like I think it's actually more realistic to look at because like we as we broke down like that entire infield, you have quite a bit of faith in them. Like, obviously, second base, a little bit of a question mark, but like with the other,
You're also getting about 60 home runs, 60 to 120 home runs out of your 3 positions.
yeah, I think with the outfield, as I said, Jack is the one who you look at and I think has the highest upside to be the biggest contributor from an offensive standpoint. As far as it goes, I said, like with Izzy, it's be a league average. Like that's what he has shown. Like he's been pretty consistent with that. If he can keep doing that, and then it's like, what do you get out of Starling Marte? Like, what do you, because like say he's 37 years old. You don't really. It's hard to really predict at that point what you're going to get. I think the route that I saw, I forget who it was. It was someone with ESPN who was bringing up how the Royals could get to a top 10 offense. It's like you probably need another, like you need a all-star year out of Bobby, like maybe MVP candidate year out of Bobby. You need Vinny to kind of replicate what he did last year. You probably need another step forward from Michael to become that really all-around player that we're starting to see now that he showcased at the World Baseball Classic. You need Jonathan India, as I said, to really go back to what he was doing in Cincinnati. If Salvi, or even if it has to be Carter Jensen, like coming in to boost up some of the stats you get from your catching position, you need probably another replicator, like a 30 home run, 100 RBI season from that position. And then it's like, you probably need Jack Caglione to be a rookie. Actually, no, he can't be a rookie of the year candidate, can he?
No.
But you need him to probably, as I said, hit that high upside. And then probably need like Starling Marte to have a really solid season along with Izzy being a league average. But it's like if everything there goes right, that's a top 10 offense. But that's everything going right.
Yeah.
But I don't like whenever they're breaking it down. I sat there. I was like, I don't like. I think if they even like, I trust Izzy enough to where I'm like, he'll at least be somewhere around that. And if Jack can just go, like if Jack can take off, I feel like maybe it's not a top 10 offense, but as long as our rotation plays like we think, or in some cases we know how they can play, that's a playoff team. Well, and we will get into that on Thursday. If they will be a playoff team, and who else will be a playoff team, and also showcase their first series Friday night against the Atlanta Braves. But that is it for this first episode. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next one.